When you think of the word subliminal, you might think of like advertisements or music or product logos, right? But when I think of it recently, I've been thinking of a rather unfortunately disappointing video game. So a few weeks ago, Subliminal came out to mixed reviews. The demo had been out for a few weeks. I don't know exactly how long, but I'd seen people playing the demo as early as March 5th, probably. Like, this demo was out before fully, I think, but I only played it a couple of days ago. And now that I've had time to kind of like simmer on it and really think about it, I want to talk about how I feel about the game. So, for starters, I want to talk about the thing that you get, right? Not even to mention the like hype around it, the stuff that it was advertised as before the demo, right? Literally just the product that you get when you buy the game on Steam, right? That product isn't bad, right? It's a pretty solid horror game. It's a little reminiscent of Poppy's Playtime, but if you take away that similarity, it's a pretty well constructed game, right? Like, the puzzles can be a little annoying here and there, but overall it's not too bad. And some of the more physical aspects of the game, right? Like the kind of like in the beginning of the game, there's a puzzle where you have to, it's not even a puzzle, it's really a challenge, where you have to like make sure that you're keeping a bunch of doors shut and like lights on, right? And you have to do it all at the same time. And it's very reminiscent of like FNAF 4, but like way more overwhelming, right? Like if FNAF 4 had like a 40-40-40 mode, right? That would be this challenge, right? It was genuinely quite fun. I enjoyed doing that. Genuinely kind of freaked me out because I have always had a fear of like doors just kind of opening on their own. So that's always been a thing for me. But the game itself overall pretty solid. The controls are a little bit rough here and there, but it's not too much of a problem. The chase scenes can be a little tedious, especially if you're going through the like just like the baseline game, right? The last chase scene can be pretty annoying. It took me a couple of tries to like actually get through it, in part because there are like physical things that you have to do in that chase scene that are kind of hard to see because the entire scene is pretty overwhelmingly red, right? But the only thing that you're able to move are things that are highlighted in red. So it's a little hard to see the things that are highlighted red when everything's red. But also just like the placement of some things is hard to kind of intuit where you need to necessarily move and like what to do next. But once you figure it out, it's a pretty solid chase sequence. And it's really just like the first part of it is kind of a pain. Now, I do want to talk about why I think the handful of reasons that I think this game commands the kind of ire that it gets, right? Because it does. It requests the ire that it receives online. And like a lot of like not maybe not a lot of people, but definitely some people uh don't necessarily understand where that's necessarily coming from and why people are disappointed for it. So back in 2022, I think is when the account started posting, maybe even in 2021 when he was just like getting started with the project. But by late 2022, the then, I believe, solo dev for Subliminal had put in over 1,000 hours into the game, right? And if you look at the current like state of Subliminal, you'd think, oh, this game has been done since 2022, and they were just like doing some like tweaking and like fixing certain things, right? Getting voice acting, like kind of maybe increasing the scope a little bit, right? No, no. Here's what it looked like in 2022. Isn't that crazy? Because this is what the game looks like now. It looks like it's made of plastic in comparison. It's insane. Like it's not the game that people were waiting, well, at least that I was waiting for 4 years, because I had seen these like original kinds of tech demos from like 2022, early 2023, right? And I was super excited to play that game, right? And then I kind of lose track of the game for a while, right? But I had it wish listed on Steam for a few years, right? And then I get a notification from Steam that, hey, Subliminal's demo is out now. And it's like, oh, cool, right? And so I went back onto the TikTok page, and it's like, oh, there's like a genuinely like terrifying monster now, right? And like we get to see kind of the play area. And at that point, it still looked the same way. They had just thrown a pretty interesting looking monster in it, right? At least at the time. Right now, it kind of looks like just a bastardized form of the one blue monster from Poppy's Playtime. What was that one called? Huggy Wuggy, I think. It's just a bastardized form of Huggy Wuggy, and it looks kind of uninspired. Still terrifying, right? But rather uninspired compared to the original. I'll see if I can find a video of like what the monster originally looked like and put it here. It's not too different, but it's definitely scarier than what we have now. But it's just not the game that people like myself were looking forward to for years. And it's kind of a disappointment in that regard, right? The original idea looked really cool, like a walk around, run from monster kind of like old school like Amnesia-esque horror game. I've seen people play Amnesia. It's been a long time since I've seen anyone play, but it seemed pretty straightforward, right? Like just walk around, get scared by a monster, and find thing to move forward, right? It wasn't super heavy on puzzles, and I think that's what people were looking for 4 years ago when the dev was saying, hey, this is a game that I'm making. It's coming out soon, right? Like the alpha was out in 2023, right? The game came out 3 years later and it looks worse, right? Like, don't get me wrong, highly, highly incredible graphics in the game, don't get me wrong, right? Everything looks really, really nice, but it's not the same as this like gritty, realistic, worn down thing that we'd seen years ago. So that's definitely why it was a disappointment to me. But I feel like a lot of people, and I think one of the Clueless guys, I think it was Pezzy, uh, was kind of saying something like this. Um, the game came out in the wake of Poppy's Playtime Chapter 5, and it shares a lot of DNA with Poppy's Playtime Chapter 5, well, with Poppy's Playtime in general. So you have this like FNAF-esque creature that just kind of, you know, exists, right? There's just like, you know, childhood mascot turned into this like horrific monster. It doesn't do a lot to kind of differentiate itself from from Poppy's Playtime. And it's disappointing. It really is. I wish that there were more to it. I wish that there was a better design. I wish the concept were more backroomsy like it originally was, right? Sure, the backrooms thing got oversaturated, right? But hey, people are still playing Escape the Backrooms. People are still playing new Backrooms content that comes out. And it's still fun, right? You can only ever make one Poppy's Playtime, right? You can't make 5 Poppy's Playtimes and then have someone else make another Poppy's Playtime, right? Like people made like FNAF fan games when there were like 3 or 4 games, right? And then people essentially started making their own versions of FNAF after that, right? They were basically just like, hey, what if there were animatronics, right? But they were like chasing you around, and it's like a runaround horror, and then security breach happened, and it's basically that, right? But the point is, the game I feel like fell into a trend trap essentially, where the original dev was making a Backrooms game because in 2021, 2022, even in 2023, the Backrooms were trending, right? They were huge. I think Kane Parsons' original Backrooms video came out in that time span, right? Backrooms was the thing in that time. And I think that's why the dev was making the game, not necessarily out of a genuine interest for the Backrooms, but because that was just the creepy thing to be making stuff of at the time. I think that's why the game kind of turned into Poppy's Playtime, right? FNAF was already pretty overdone with fan games and kind of like remakes and spin-offs and like fan creations that are like in the same vein, right? So the dev was like, well, we can't shift gears to a FNAF style. We can shift to Poppy's Playtime. And I think that change happened sometime in late 2024, early 2025, around the release of either Chapter 3 or 4. I don't know what the release schedule for Poppy's Playtime was. So I think that's when the change kind of happened. It really feels like maybe there wasn't a whole lot of care into making the original experience, and there was a lot more interest, especially after the developer kind of created a studio and there were kind of more monkey wrenches being thrown around, right? The idea changed. Like it makes me think back to there's a diceless TTRPG that I play a lot, that I talk about on stream a lot. The both books for which I believe I am in, which is kind of crazy. The first book I'm actually in twice, which is very fun, but that's because of being one, a legacy player, and two, backing the Patreon. In the new book, I'm actually in there for like a completely different reason, which is kind of funny. But regardless, that game, the legacy version, the game that I played back in like 2017, 2018, all the way up through like 2020, right, is a fundamentally different game than what the people playing the legacy version of Enclave are playing right now. Right? If you stuck with the game the entire time and like just kind of kept playing it over and over again, right? It feels like there wasn't too much of a change because the changes happened gradually, right? I haven't played the legacy game in a long, long, long time, and looking at the like server and seeing like the changes that they're currently making, it's like, hey, this thing no longer does this. Instead, it does this. And it's like, hey, check it out. That's not a mechanic that existed when I was playing the game back in the day, right? And like it just, a lot of it feels like stuff to kind of get through things faster, but I'll try to keep from rambling. But what happened there is very similar, I think, to what happened to Subliminal, right? Original Legacy Enclave was very much the brainchild of Robbie Howell, right? This isn't an advertisement for Enclave, by the way. I love the game. I'm not sponsored by Enclave. I just really enjoy the game. So the creator Robbie Howell was like really in on the continuing development of Legacy Enclave for a long time. From what I understand right now, he's not really that involved in the like continuing updates for Legacy. I might be wrong about that, right? But to my knowledge, it's mostly kind of a team of fan developers, almost like it's a mobile game that kind of went under and then a team of fans brought it back, right? But the game never went under, right? Robbie just kind of like handed the reins over to the community. But it's just crazy to see that difference. And I think a similar thing happened when the dev for the original game of Subliminal, right, like brought on a team, right? Because now there's other people's ideas getting kind of grafted on to this thing, right? It's like, hey, like you have all of these environments, right? But instead of having all the environments, why not just like hone in on this like one thing, right? The like the cool playground thing, right? A lot of people are like, oh, that playground looks insane, right? like lock in on that playground and build the game around it. Why? It's not what the original vision was. But the game is as the game is. And while, again, yes, I am quite disappointed in the product that it became, it's not a bad product, right? Like, in isolation, it is a solid horror game. It's just, I was excited for a few years for a Backrooms game, and I got Poppy's Playtime meets Superliminal, and that sucks. But anyway, that's really all that I have. I just kind of wanted to yap about it for a little while. Kind of got lost around the middle there, but yeah, just wanted to talk about it. Thanks for watching. Until I see you again, stay funky, keep stargazing. Good night.